customer sent me a couple of these. I asked if I could keep them. Hi, Misha here, and we have a new batch of surplus in. And that happened. It wasn't the gun, it was the ammo. They come in a nice, well, relative, nice condition holster.
It's a better color.
And it's one of J-Ro's favorite guns.
Oh, God.
Polish P64 Makarov. A new batch came in. Mag is stuck on that. There we go.
It's because it's a Makarov.
Yeah. It's Polish, though. So you get the pistol itself. And holster. Spare mag. And there's even a cleaning rod in here. Although it's very stiff. Yeah, I'll zoom in there. It's a cleaning rod. You check my word for it. It's just stiff in the leather. So with this new batch in, thought we'd run a couple of rounds through them and see how they do. P64 is rather infamous in the surplus world. I wonder why that is. As always, if you could, like, share, and subscribe. And with that, we'll get to the range.
I can't think of a better case for that gun.
I thought you would enjoy it. Today we'll be shooting PPU 93 grain FMJ, so ball ammo. I've had good luck out of other 9x18 guns with this ammo, and it's not too harsh on the old recoil. The Polish P64 and the spare mag actually fit a lot better. And she held open. So yeah, it came out fine.
It even sounds stupid.
You sound stupid. Now be honest, how many of you have already thought about going down to the comments and saying, it's not a Makarov? I know, you know. It's a Polish P64. But it's chambered for 9x18 PM, 9mm Makarov. It's a colloquial term, just like when you say 45, 32, what have you, and it just helps distinguish from, you know, other sidearms, handguns. In the firearms world, shorthand is often good. Now there's no slide release on this, so you just have to put a fresh mag in and sling it, and then no problem. This is the mag that was originally in it. So yeah, there's no release, so he's gonna drop it. That first mag is a little stiff, but probably a little break in will do just fine. These are the true Makarovs, the PMs. Russian, Bulgarian, East German, Chinese. Those are the real ones. And feature-wise, they're quite similar. Double single action, slide-mounted decocker safety, straight below back, yes, the 9x18 chambering, but in other ways very different. Mechanically, the P64, especially the disconnector, internal lock work, is very different. It also uses a different magazine, 6 rounds versus 8, and overall is a smaller pistol. Just for comparison, here's the Bulgarian, here's the Polish, quite a bit shorter grip. Overall, length is not a lot different. Here are the mags, 8 versus 6. They're not interchangeable. Poland, Factory 11, Circle 11, commonly thought of as Radom, definitely did its own thing with this gun. Alright, Jiro's turn with his favorite gun.
For some reason, he wants me to shoot this goofy little Mickey Mouse Makarov pistol. There's a reason it comes in a ridiculous pink bag. Oh my god, oh, I hate everything about it already. Oh, there's not a thing that I like. Trigger's all far forward and stupid. And helps to have it on fire. Why it's pushed forward instead of pulled down. It's more stupid Makarov business. Okay, why didn't it leave the hammer back when I chambered it?
Because it's a decocker. You had the safety on. It's a double action.
Oh my god. That's one in the pipe.
Yep.
Nothing. Dead trigger.
Pull the trigger. Is the safety vertical or horizontal?
Vertical.
Okay, flip it forward, horizontal.
Right.
That's on.
Okay.
And then pull the trigger.
Oh my god, I hate everything about this.
I was so hoping that would happen.
Oh, why? Why do you buy these horrible things? They're so bad. Everything about that felt like total garbage. I'm never shooting another one of your fucking Makarovs again.
How do you like that double action?
The key word there is action. And if there isn't any, you can't call it an action, can you? I mean, the only thing I can say for it is that before it damn near broke my hand trying to jump out of it because of the stupid twist on these things, at least it was on target. But my God, I hate everything about Makarovs. Just, you will never sell me on it. It's never going to get any better. I'm never going to hate them any less. If Poland, if this is your gun, the Soviets deserve to win.
That's getting edited out. I don't care what he says. He loves Makarovs, even if he doesn't know it yet. And I really think the history and construction of these, any of them, is well done. In Poland, of course, they produced a version of the TT-33 Tokarev 7.62/25 as the WZ-33 as early as 1947 in limited production, but they really didn't go to full rate production until the 50s. And in some ways, it was a good gun, in other ways not. You know, you have an 8-round capacity, single action only, not much in the way of safety except the half-cock. It's not exactly light. The cartridge has pros and cons, but it's what the Comblock used. But of course, Russia would go to the PM pistol, along with East Germany in this case. And in 1958, Poland started looking at the next generation service pistol, and development would be underway at the Artillery Research Center. And early on, this pistol would be known as the CZAK, CZAK, which was an acronym for the half dozen or so creators. And there were actually two competing models. The Model M, which was a compact gun, 6-round mag, firing 9x17 Browning, 380. And the Model W, which was still a 6-rounder, but had a longer barrel, external slide release, and it fired 9x18 Makarov. And there would be trials in 1961. And basically, the government decided it wanted the Model M, the so-called police version, the smaller version, but it wanted 9x18 chambering. So that's what they got. The initial design was refined, better ergonomics. They got rid of the external slide release button. We do have a chrome-lined barrel. It's about 3.3 inches. Overall weight, since it is pretty much all machined steel, it's about 22 ounces. And the pattern was finalized in 1964, put into the limited low-rate production in 1965, and by 66, 67 was entering into high-rate production. It would stay there for about a decade, ending in 1977. And there are a couple of noteworthy differences between it and a Makarov PM. I'd rather be in front of the camera, but, this is what we got. Like I said, the PM does retain an external release, decocker, and when it's safe, it's safe. The trigger is just blocked. and the gun is essentially locked. And of course you can always and have double action. Move my toke grab out of the way. 64 though, it's a little different. Still, of course, double single, safety. Now, one thing I'll point out, down is on and horizontal is off. On a Makarov, it's the reverse. Safe, fire. The P64's method of forward being fire is actually the same as a Walther PPK. Now, one unique thing, it was even patented by the team, is the disconnector. It's actually a vertically moving piece over here that does several duties, and it allows for the trigger to be completely disconnected. It blocks the firing pin, but it also just gives you a true dead trigger versus just blocking it on the PM. Another neat feature is you can actually chamber around with the safety on. Good for that. But of course they deleted the slide release for their various reasons. And the hammer is pretty low profile, because this is meant as more of a carry gun. You do have drift adjustable rear sights. You have a sight ramp up here, fixed front. It is its own design, and even if it's small and snappy, these were high quality. Now this one here is 1969, so it's a pretty much earlier production style. There were a couple of changes during the run. This is my personal P64. It's been in the collection quite a long time. In 1971, they would change up the lock work a bit with the disconnector. And that was really just to add additional safety, reliability, durability with repeated use. But these are just internal changes. Then around 1973, they went to a larger spur hammer. So straight from the very, very low profile ring to the slightly larger oblong shape, to make it easier to grasp while still being pretty low snag. By the way, there is a loaded chamber indicator back here. And when they went to the new hammer, they actually further changed the lock work inside, really just getting the gun up to a standard. So pretty much these are the changes, generations. The initial production, 71, we had some changes. In 73, we had a couple more. But overall, that's really about it. Pretty much a straight run at Factory 11. And despite everything else, it was a very well made and dependable pistol for what it was. It's been an hour and he's still grousing. Here it is in double action. It is not great.
Not great.
Single action is not bad. I actually do like that double and single, the position of the trigger is the same. I do actually think that is...
Yeah, and it's too far forward either way.
Well, that's a safety thing. This one mag is sticky, but it's a mag issue, not a gun issue.
No, it's definitely a Makarov issue.
Luckily, this is not a Makarov. But yeah, single action, double, same position, just heavier. And of course, as we were talking, when your safety is on, it works like most decockers, where the hammer goes forward, and you're in double. But if the safety's off, of course, it'll be in single. And it's really not a bad single pull. It really is not. You know what's really bad?
Makarov.
For a P64, this is one of the better double action triggers.
Oh my God, really?
I am not... Guys out there, sound out in the comments. Yeah, this is one of the better ones I've felt.
Just why?
Machine gun ammo, man. Machine gun ammo.
Why do I say that? Well, the answer to the heavy trigger is really about the same as the answer to why Poland went to such a compact gun, really more for, it would seem to be more for police than general military field use. For one, they still had plenty, well over 200,000, Tokarevs in the field, so they could just issue these. But this was the little brother and expected to fire the same ammunition as this. The P64's double action is so heavy because it has such a heavy spring to make sure that it can reliably ignite the same 9x18 loadings meant for this, the PM63 rack. This is what we think of today as a PDW, a machine pistol, a defensive gun. It's a very large pistol or a very small machine gun. Of course, this is a semi-automatic only, the PM63C, and it would, in the original version, of course, fire from an open bolt. This being a semi-automatic only, it's a closed bolt. But they wanted to be able to use this ammo in this gun, and of course, the rack came out just before the 64. So the idea really was to issue this to higher-ranking officers, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Security units, special operations, and then like field units, say tank crews, some special forces would get the rack, or some, maybe like NCOs, would still keep Tokarevs around. So when you kind of compare them, it makes more sense, and especially wanting to use the same ammunition in both 9x18 guns. And then, by the way, Poland's loading at the time was steel cased, but it was intended to be used with brass case if necessary. No real problems there. And we've covered the rack in the past, and I bet we can do it again. But I just wanted to point out this is the reason, because if you put a relatively weak spring hitting the firing pin in this for the ammo, you'd have issues. I hope that makes sense. They wanted the hard primers, otherwise you might have issues with the submachine gun. Yeah, but yeah, that's the reason. And to be fair, while the double action, see this one's even stiffer, is stiff, really the single action is shockingly smooth. Notice how much easier the larger spur is to use. So that was kind of a concession to make it more of a duty pistol versus a carry gun. As they realized, yeah, the double was not practical. By the way, before doing the video, I was trying to think of a way of tricking J-Row into firing at double action. Of course, usually when you chamber around, it's in single. But it worked out in my favor because he had the safety on. It ended up in that mode, and then we did it off. It just, by default, this one's stiff, happened. So it was a happy coincidence, and literally made me laugh. You probably heard the construction going on at the cabin in the background. So I pulled the contractor off and handed him the pistol. Get his opinion on how it shoots. You know, never hurts to have a third opinion, right?
Now, how was that?
Man, I love that gun. That is sweet, man.
You are so full of shit.
See, they're fun. They're fun. And they served in Poland for quite some time. But by the 1970s, shortcomings were obviously apparent. The rack was in service, but not super widespread, and the Tokarevs were aging out. So a replacement for the P64 was needed, and work began as early as 1975 with some advanced prototypes by 1978 called the P78A and the P78B. And trials and testing would eventually result in the P83 WANAD, first adopted in 1984. And this was built using the lessons learned from the P64. It's larger, essentially the same barrel length and grip size as a standard Makarov, 8 rounds versus 6. Much larger spur hammer, much better double action trigger. Overall, just better ergonomics, but also cheaper to produce. We have stamped components, like the slide catch, which is now an external part again, and the trigger guard, because this was a very expensive little pistol to make for a basic blowback gun. All machined parts, high-grade bluing, quite a bit of manual labor and time put in here. So with the 83, they really kind of set about something like a more standard military gun, size-wise, effectiveness, and that let them finally fully retire the Tokarev, phase out some PM63s, and retire especially some of the earlier P64s, which they were often refurbished and put into long-term storage and would remain there through the fall of communism and then start coming over to the USA in the late 90s, early 21st century. And we've had multiple batches over the years, over the decades. And that's why I felt like doing a video on the P64. I remember back when standard Makarov PMs, say the Bulgarians, were around $100. These were still about 150. They were always a little more. Of course, they're not even 150 today, but they're still one of the cheaper communist surplus era guns out there, firing a relatively available cartridge. You may get one of 3 variations. I do think it's nice that they are coming with the holster, the spare mag, cleaning rod for what it's worth. And again, I would not get one of these for a carry gun. For the money, you can get a more modern gun. I would get one of these if you're a combat collector, a Polish collector, just as a curiosity. And I sincerely don't find them uncomfortable to shoot. At least not a few times. I don't think I'd want to put more than a box, maybe 2 boxes through one in a day. I will fully admit that this small grip, this kind of coarse back strap, some 9x18 ammo can be a little snappy. And one thing I will say with the larger hammer is it does have a much higher potential for hammer bite, especially if you really want to choke up on. So I have personally found the small hammer guns, while a little more difficult to charge manually, slightly more comfortable and less risky of getting snapped. Now, it's not a big gap there, but it can come back and get you a little more than this. My first P64 was actually the large hammer style, and I actually traded it in for that small hammer that you saw earlier. I find it more comfortable myself. But they are a reliable little gun, quite small, somewhat lightweight, but of course you only get 6+1, and they do take their own mags. Also, just because it's still out, the P83s only started coming into the country around 2009 and are far less available. And this actually might be one of my favorite 9x18 guns. I find it very comfortable, very soft shooting, but also a story for a different video. This is all about its little and older brother. So what do you think? Do you own a P64? If so, how do you like how it shoots? I know some people replace the heavy double action spring with a lighter aftermarket one. And since we're not going to be shooting SMG hard primer ammo, that's fine. Of course, you could always just rely on the single action trigger. And again, this one's double isn't the worst. It really isn't. This one, a little stiffer. It's one of those things, but it is fun when someone's not expecting it, like J-Ro. It's kind of like handing someone a revolver and loading mostly 38s, but putting one 357 in there. It's a bit of a shocker. But cool guns. Neat part of Polish history, unique to them. And definitely just not a average Makarov clone. Even the Wanad is not an actual Makarov clone. As I said at the beginning of the video, we often call guns like these Makarovs. It might even say it on the import mark or the tag, but that's really just to signify the caliber, or to say, hey, dummy, don't put 380 or 9x19 Luger Parabellum in these. Do not do that. Full disclosure, this is a straight blowback gun. Even if it might kind of chamber, even maybe fire one. I've seen some fools try to shoot like a Hungarian P64. Don't do that for so many reasons. But yeah, neat guns, cool history, very well made, very small for the power. A lot of inspiration from the Walther PPK, but definitely not a cloner copy. And the reason I like them so much, part of it was they were inexpensive. I could get into them. They were great guns, any of these, to learn on when I was younger. And it's just a part of history that won't ever come again. And, you know, they're not making any of these anymore. And when it comes to surplus, you're always better off buying something when it's first hitting the market versus years, decades later. But yeah, it was fun to get out and run some rounds through a P64. It's been a few years. But yeah, I'd love to hear about yours. Have you picked any up in this most recent batch? I believe the importer is, what is it, Blitzkrieg? Have you come across any interesting variations? I've noticed a couple of different holster styles these come with. With that, yeah, if you could, please do like, share, and subscribe. Let J-Ro know he is wrong and that Makarov type guns are awesome. No, being serious, it's just a long-standing kind of fun, jokey thing we've had for 25 years ever since college. So it's all in good fun, guys. All of this is all in good fun. That's all it is. It's just an excuse to get outdoors, get some fresh air, time with friends. With that, this is Misha. We'll catch you very soon next time.